Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have a beer from a brewery that is unfortunately not available to me anymore, but one of my friends was kind enough to bring some of this down for me when he visited last weekend. This was just released a few weeks ago. It's from Fatheads. They're out of Cleveland, Ohio, but they also have a location and distribute to Pittsburgh. Actually, the original one is in Pittsburgh. It's just a restaurant. They opened a brewery in Cleveland, but the original Fatheads is actually in Pittsburgh. So this is, again, it's called Hop Juju. It is 9% alcohol, 100 IBUs. IBUs don't mean shit, but in case some people want to know, that's what it is. So these guys, they always claim that they'll never ever do a hazy IPA, which I actually kind of think that they are going to stay true to that because they just don't. So in my opinion, they make probably the best non-hazy IPAs in the country, and that to me, that there's some people that might sound like, well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything if you think hazy IPAs are better, but I really don't. I think this is one of the best double IPAs there are, period, but in general, I definitely think it's the best non-hazy one. I've had this many times, but, it only comes out once a year, right around the same time as Hop Slam, which I don't really care for anymore, so to me, this is kind of like the substitute for that. So I'm really excited to give it a proper review on this channel and share my thoughts on this guy. So I don't know how much this costs because he just got it for me, but I know their stuff is pretty cheap compared to the hay stuff. I'm guessing this was probably, I don't know, $13 for a 4-pack, something like that. Let's see. So it pours a nice opaque. I mean, you can see right through it. Which every once in a while, there's something to be said. You can see the Hop Slam letters on the back side of this with the logo up front. There's something to be said for making really good, clean IPAs now, because there's really not as many breweries that are doing it. These guys are sticking true to form. It's pretty dark golden color, almost like an amber orangish color. So I mean, there's definitely a little bit of caramel malts in this, which I have no problem with a pretty big standing white head, a little off white, not completely white. So, so this. Get this guy in view, actually. Sorry. This really reminds me of what I either used to think Hop Slam tasted like, or it did taste like. I can never tell if it's my palate changed, the beer changed. I'm assuming it's a little bit of both. But this really reminds me of what I used to think Hop Slam was like. I mean, the aroma on this is just very, very clean, straight oranges and pineapples. It doesn't have that sweet candy, sugar, bready undertone that the hazy IPAs do. This, I mean, it just tastes like there's a little bit of alcohol and then orange and pineapple juice. Period. That's all. There's a little bit of a dankness to it too, which I really appreciate. And I don't think it says on here what hops are in this, but I would really like to find out. I mean, on the description basically just says the magical hops cast their spell, the natives chant, and the drums beat. Witchcraft, maybe just a little. Hop Juju is a supernatural beer with a reckless use of hops, creating aromas and flavors of citrus, pine, and tropical fruit, with a juicy, resiny hop finish. So I agree with that, certainly in the nose. I mean, if going back like 5 years ago, there's no aroma that's better than this. And in my opinion, there's not many that are better than this now either. I mean that. It's perfect to me. It's perfect, like for a clean IPA. It's I don't want to say it's West Coast style because it's really not. Because it's not that grapefruity and it's not that dry either. It does have a little bit of a sweetness, but it's more of a caramely sweetness and not as much of like the lighter bread notes of a hazy IPA like the two row character. It's a little bit of a sweet caramel character, but the hops are up front for sure. It has a very nice balancing bitterness, but I think because the caramel malts are there, the bitterness doesn't really. It never dominates. You know, there's hazy IPAs that are way less IBUs probably, but the bitterness that just crushes your tongue because there's no malt really to back it up, no malt flavor, no sweetness other than two row, and the caramel malt I think in this really balances out the bitterness that this would have. I mean, obviously it's dry hop to shit, and there's still not that much bittering hops in this, but it definitely has a bitterness. I think this one is probably less bitter than Headhunter, which is their standard IPA, which is also phenomenal. I would like to do a review of that, but I'll have to get a growler or something from the brewery because it just gets distributed everywhere. So sometimes it's hard to find some really fresh stuff. But it does turn over pretty quickly because it's so good too. Maybe I might be better off trying to get some of that from my buddy in Cleveland though, because it's right there. Sorry, I'm digressing because I just love this beer and I love Fathead so much. Yeah, I mean, up front, I would say it's orange and pineapple are the biggest characteristics. There's a little in the finish. There's a little bit of a dank, green, resiny character that balances out and makes it more complex than some other beers that are in the same realm. Like I said, the caramel malt really and I know a lot of people don't want to hear caramel malt in IPAs, but in this, it's perfect. It doesn't taste cardboardy. It doesn't really taste caramely. It's just enough to round out the hops that are in it. I actually do like that this one has a little bit of an alcohol kick to it, but it's very it's still drinkable at the same time because of all the other flavors that are going on in it. You know, some of the haze bombs, they have a lot of alcohol, but some of them you can't taste the alcohol at all, and it's like, holy crap, this 9% beer tastes like it's 6. And then usually there's no in between, and then the other ones you can really taste the alcohol because there's not much malt character or anything to hide the alcohol besides the juice. So this is really right in between all of that. But again, I mean, look how crystal clear that is. This was always something that was really perfected. Funny thing about these guys too is they make great hoppy beers. But I mean, the guy is German trained, and their German beer is fantastic, but no one really cares about it. And to me, that's when I go there, I generally drink like the Goggle and those ones. They're German styles because they're so good, and there's really not that many good German brewers in the U.S. So I think it's obvious from what I've said, but my opinion on this is absolutely buy. Even if it was double the price, I'd probably still at least buy a 4-pack. It's fantastic. I love it. I wish it were available down here. And there's, in my opinion, there's definitely not a better non-hazy double IPA, but this might be my favorite double IPA period because it's just so balanced and it's juicy, but it's classic at the same time. It's just really great stuff. So that's about all I have to say about this guy. I hope I have some other fatheads to review in the future. Maybe I'll grab some next time I'm in Pittsburgh. But I had fun doing this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.